Mic is here as well.
Yeah, sure.
I'll just introduce myself. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, we're delighted to honor Mufti Abdullah. Alhamdulillah, he's come all the way from California, alhamdulillah, to be with us. He is, I would say mashallah, he's a contemporary of some of my teachers, and so I consider him as one of my teachers as well, alhamdulillah. Mufti Abdullah, mashallah, he's on the Imam of a masjid there, along with, of course, he is the founder of Hafsa, which is, mashallah, halal certifying board, mashallah. He's also the advisor for UIF, as we all know. And so, along with many of his projects, mashallah, he's authored a few books, alhamdulillah. He's also working on a number of other books as well, alhamdulillah. So, we're honored to have Mufti Saab here with us today, alhamdulillah. We're grateful to Mufti Saab for making this journey and being here with us, alhamdulillah. And we hope that, inshallah, Mufti Saab continues to benefit us with his ulum and with his knowledge. Jazakallah khair, Mufti Saab, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah bil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Muhammad nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wa ba'd. Respected brothers, friends, and elders, we know that one of the most important issues that we as Muslims here in America face is accommodation, rent, purchasing a home, or finding a place to stay. The challenge is, for many of us, this ends up being one of the greatest financial concerns. How to get a house, how to avoid paying rent. And once we consider purchasing a house, the main question pops up. Should I go towards Islamic finance, or should I just make it easy, go to Chase Bank, Bank of America, and make life easier? So inshallah, the goal for today, inshallah, we will do a introduction to Islamic home financing. Inshallah, we'll answer the very important question. What is the difference? Is it the same thing? Are we just taking the word Islamic, taking a regular mortgage, taking a conventional loan, adding a few Islamic terms, packaging it, and selling to the Muslims? Inshallah, hopefully by the end of today's lecture, inshallah, we should have a clear understanding. The professional protocol is as follows, that before a lecture, you state your conflict of interest or you make things very clear. So to be fair to all of you, I am on the board of University Islamic Financial, UIF. At the same time, because we're sitting in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't like to mix business in the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of respect for the masjid. So I don't have any paperwork for UIF here. And inshallah, my objective today is to keep the lecture general. So if you learn the concepts, if you learn the basics of how Islamic finance works, that is sufficient. Yes, keep in mind that there's a big difference between the simple model and the modern application with the 20-page contract. Right? We know there's a difference. For example, there's a difference between me saying, I I'm going to borrow $5 from you. And there's a difference between me coming up with a 20-page contract for borrowing $5, for example. There's going to be a difference. So the objective today is not to endorse one company, not to make a sale for any company. We're in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I wish to respect the masjid. I wish to respect the house of Allah. So the most important issue and the greatest misconception that Muslims all over the country have is with regards to home financing. As of now, Islamic finance in America means home finance. Although really Islamic finance should cover student loans, should cover alternatives for insurance, should cover halal investments. As of now, the biggest component of Islamic finance in America is home financing. And I think for most of us, either who have families or have children who are growing up, right? Purchasing a home or making arrangements for a home for our children and family is a great priority. And then this misconception comes up. Really, what is the difference? At the end of the day, what is the difference? So inshallah, hopefully by a few examples, inshallah, we will understand the difference. Inshallah. Inshallah, we'll have a brief Q&A as well. If anyone doesn't understand or has any questions, inshallah, we'll have a brief Q&A. So inshallah, our goal, inshallah, we will go to 6:30. Thereafter, inshallah, I have to drive to Laurel, and there's a lecture program thereafter, after Isha. Inshallah. So to understand the difference between conventional financing and Islamic financing or Islamic home financing, we need to understand that in Islamic law, it's extremely important that the procedure be correct. Let me repeat that again. The outcome might be the same, but the procedure has to be done correctly. The procedure has to be done in the way shown to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah. Right? So let's take two examples. Because what happens, we sometimes get caught up in the end result. We look at the net result, and sometimes we think two things are exactly the same. So one of our senior ulama in America gave this example. One of the senior ulama of Chicago, this is the example he's given. And hopefully, inshallah, this will drive home. This will drive the point home. And this should resonate with us. So we have two men. Right? This is, I'm just making the person up, inshallah, I'm not pointing at anyone. We have Zayd on one side. We have Robert on the other side. Okay? Zayd and Robert. Zayd, he lives with a woman in the same house. Robert, he lives with a woman in the same house. Okay? So Zayd and Robert, side by side. They're both living in a house. Zayd, he sleeps with this woman. Robert, he sleeps with this woman. Zayd, he eats with this woman. Robert, he eats with this woman. Zayd has children with this woman. Robert has children with his woman. They look exactly the same, brothers. Right? We look at them, the net result, we observe them. They look like two normal families. Zayd goes to Mawlana Imam Saad and says, Nakahtuha and qabiltuha. It takes him 2 minutes, but yes, he comes to the masjid. He makes an appointment with Sheikh Saad. Right? He gets a hold of him. He finds two witnesses from the community. He doesn't nikah. Robert does not do so. Brothers, is there a difference? Do they look the same though? Right? If you look at them, they look exactly the same. The net result is the same. People will argue, Sheikh, is exactly the same thing. No, but it's not exactly the same thing. The procedure is different. Does everyone understand the first example? Yes. Okay. Let's take a few other examples. We have two facilities for slaughtering animals. They have the same exact equipment, right? So if you're familiar with the slaughterhouse, there's going to be a place where the animal is harvested or bled. The animal is bled out. Thereafter, you have deboning machines. Then you'll remove the blood. They'll drain the blood. They'll clean the animal, and you have your 5-pound chicken breast or 3-pound chicken breast, for example. So I can walk into Giant and buy 5 pounds of chicken breasts, put them right here on the table. I can walk into my halal meat store and I can buy 5 pounds of chicken breasts and put them on the table. Again, do they look exactly the same? Right? They're both bled out. The weight is exactly the same. The appearance might be exactly the same. Right? In one, the Muslims took the chicken, said Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and cut the neck. But when you get the finished product, when you buy the packaged product and you put it on one side, this is the 5 pound chicken breast, this is the 5 pound chicken breast, it looks exactly the same. One was slaughtered by a machine. The other one, the Muslim said Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and he slaughtered the animal. So the process, the rest of the process might be exactly the same. Right? There's the defeathering machine, there's the deboning machine, right? It removes the guts of the animal, etc., etc. The rest of the procedure is exactly the same. So again, to illustrate, the procedure is everything. Right? The procedure is everything in Islam. And I'll give you one example from the life of the Prophet Muhammad. It's not directly related here, but I will mention it as well. Again, I want to drive this point home, inshallah. So the example is a little bit different. Inshallah, can you bring those 2 water bottles, inshallah? I'll do the same water bottle example, inshallah. Okay. So, okay. So, brother, I will say this. In this example, there's a little bit more detail, and you have to learn the chapters of riba to fully understand this example. But I want to illustrate the point here. So, inshallah, don't get caught up by the details here, but there's a lesson behind this. In a hadith in Sahih Muslim, Bilal radiallahu anhu. So keep in mind, at that time, they had a common form of trade known as bartering. Bartering means you trade 2 commodities. Right? So I have 2 chickens, you have two goats, I have 5 pounds of wheat, you have 5 oranges. Right? So trading one commodity for another commodity. Okay. And although this is not very common, there are very specific rules if you're trading the same commodity for the same commodity. One commodity for the same commodity on both sides. There's some very specific rules. To be fair, they're not very common today. But right, there are some very specific rules. So Rasulullah has mentioned in a hadith that if these 6 things are being traded, then the amount has to be the same on both sides. Right? This is the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad. And by amount, we mean, for example, pounds, or we mean weight or volume. Whatever amount is on both sides must be exactly the same. So these 6 things include dates and they include wheat. So Bilal radiallahu anhu, he had 2 pounds of inferior quality dates, cheap quality dates. And keep in mind, I come from California. Right? We have many dates that grow there. In fact, I think it's one of the few places in America where dates grow. Right? You have Medjool dates. Medjool dates, how expensive are they here, you guys? Maybe close to $10 a pound. Then you have the cheap dates known as Deglet Nur or Zahidis. Those are $2 a pound. So you have different fluctuations when it comes to prices of dates. So Bilal radiallahu anhu, he had 2 pounds of cheap dates. Okay. And he wanted 1 pound of quality dates. So it'd be like me saying, I have 2 pounds of Deglet Nur, it's a type of date, and I want Ajwa, or I want Medjools, or California Medjools. So Bilal radiallahu anhu says, I took my 2 pounds of cheap dates and I exchanged them for 1 pound of quality dates. Okay? Does everyone understand the example up to that? Prophet Muhammad told Bilal radiallahu anhu, what you did was riba. What you did right now violated the Islamic laws, and it was riba. But at the same time, the Prophet Muhammad told Bilal, there's a way to do your transaction that would have been permissible. So let's take a look here. So I'm going to now bring $5 in this. And if you don't mind, inshallah, if I can have a volunteer, brother, inshallah, you can. Right. Okay, so not too far away. Just you can sit down. So just sit down, brother. Yeah. Okay. So the brother has the medjus. I have the cheap quality dates. So Rasulullah taught Bilal what to do. Rasulullah said, bring 1 dinar to the picture. Now I don't have $1, I just have $5, if you don't mind. So this would be the procedure. I take, sorry, brother. Sorry, brother. Okay. So I take these 2 pounds of quality, inferior quality dates. I sell them to the brother for $5. Does anyone see this? I have the $5. I buy the 1 pound of quality dates. What's the end result, my brothers? Does it look exactly the same?
Yes.
Is the first transaction is riba, the second transaction is halal. Taught to us by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Sahih Muslim. Anyone want the reference? Inshallah, you can look at the reference. So, brothers, is there a difference in these 2 transactions? The net result is the same, but Rasulullah has taught us there is a difference between the 2. Okay. Up to this point, does everyone understand? Is everyone on board, inshallah? Any questions about these 2 examples, inshallah?
So
Yes, ma'am.
When you put the dinar or the money in,
Yes.
right? Then so you have 3 transactions.
Yes, madam.
Instead of the 1 direct transaction.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. But the main thing was the dates weren't being sold directly for the dates, which is prohibited in Islamic law. Or let me rephrase that. When the dates were being sold because we avoided selling dates for dates, we didn't require that the amount be the same on both sides. Right? So the rule is, if dates are being sold directly for dates, the amount must be the same according to the hadith. Otherwise, it's riba, otherwise it's interest. But we bypass that by selling dates for the dinar. Okay, is that example clear to everyone, inshallah?
Yes.
Okay. So now let's go forward and let's understand some of the common models for financing a home according to the Islamic way. So inshallah, we're going to take 1 step further. We're going to look at some of the models for buying a home today. Okay. So my objective here, respected friends, again, our goal is not to comment on XYZ company, XYZ company and endorse them. That's not what we're going to do. Well, let's try to understand these models that they're there. So these companies are using some of these models. And the 2 common models, inshallah, we're going to discuss them today. There are 2 common models. Murabaha. I'm going to use that. Okay, you don't mind. This is my house, you guys. So I was going to use a maktab desk, but this is a little bit lighter. So this will be my house, inshallah. So there's 2 models we're going to look at, inshallah. One is called murabaha. You don't have to remember the Arabic term. In simple terms, it's called installment sale. Installment sale. And you could say nowadays, most cell phones are sold on installment sales, and most appliances, cars, and also houses. So what does that mean, respected friends? Installment sale simply means you're buying the house on credit. And you're buying the house on installments. It's installment sale. Right? So for example, 5 years, $200 a month. Right? That's an installment sale. And in the good old days, cell phones used to be sold. They were cheap enough where you can buy them right off the bat. Now all the cell phones are also installment sales. So murabaha here means, in simple terms, asset-backed finance. Right? In economic terms, this is the reference here. Alhamdulillah, I have a degree in business administration, so that's my background. So now we're gonna go through a sample transaction of purchasing a house, the conventional way and the murabaha way, inshallah. That's what we're gonna look at here, inshallah. And inshallah, you can ask questions as well. So we're gonna try to understand how the process works. And again, we're gonna look at the difference. Right? We want that difference to be very clear. What's the difference between a conventional mortgage and what's the difference between an installment sale that meets Islamic requirements? Murabaha. Okay. So this is our beautiful home here. MashaAllah, we're in one of the most expensive countries to live. So inshallah, this is our beautiful home that's going to be for sale, inshallah. Brother, what's your name, inshallah?
Muhammad Kiani.
Muhammad Kiani. Okay, so Muhammad Kiani will be my, inshallah, assistant here today. Okay. So, my brothers, I know the prices of homes are different. I'm going to use these bills because these are round bills I have right now, inshallah. So I'm going to use them. So we're going to assume that the cash price of this home, the market value of this home right now is $20. If you want, say this is 20 million. Okay, you can take it that way if you want. We can say that this home is worth 20 million. I live near a place called Belvedere, and the homes there are up to $20 million. You have a view of the Golden Gate Bridge, mashallah. And there's that one app that shows you the value of homes as you drive, and you go through Belvedere, you have heart attacks. You have heart attacks. Okay, so this is the home. Okay, this is let's say 2 million or 20 million, okay, or $20. So this is the cash price of the home. And as we know, this the situation for most of us, in an ideal world, right, we would have cash, we'd buy the house outright. It's much cheaper, life would be much easier. But as we know, to save up that money is going to take a long time. So as a result, with both the conventional loan and with the Islamic home financing, we're going to be paying more than the asking price, or we're going to be paying more than the cash price. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at here. Now let's look at the procedures here. Brother, what's your name?
Ijaz.
Yeah.
Ijaz.
Ijaz, okay. Do you mind participating as well? Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show in a simplified way how a conventional mortgage works. Okay, conventional mortgage. So brother Muhammad owns the house. I want to buy the house. I don't have cash. I don't have the money. So normally the way it works, I'm going to obtain third-party financing, but I'm going to go through a bank. Okay. So brother Ijaz has the home. I ask him, okay, how much is the home? He says, $20 million. $20 million. I say, okay, I don't have the money. Brother Ijaz, can you provide me financing? Brother Ijaz says, no problem, Mufti Sahab, but it comes at a cost. And so he's behaving like a normal bank. Okay, he's gonna say, okay, I will lend you $20 million, but you have to pay me back over 30 years, whatever it is, 25 million. For example, you guys, I know the market rate is different. I know the interest rate is going to be different. This is a simple example because right now these are the bills I have, you guys. So just bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, so the current price of the home is 20 million. I don't have 20 million. So I'm going to work out a financing agreement with the bank. Right? I do all the paperwork, etc., etc. So these are our terms. I'm going to borrow $20 million from you with the agreement that I'm going to pay back 25 million. Okay. Is that clear, you guys? So now, Brother Ijaz, can you hand me the $20 bills? I said, can I borrow this money from you? I'm going to pay you back 25 million over 30 years. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I now have the $20. And then I will go to Brother Muhammad and say, can I buy this home now? Here's the cash. Now I'd like to buy the home. Okay. So I hand over the home. And what happens? I will now pay off. And let me take another 20 out. 1 second. So now, over time, I will pay off Brother Ijaz 25 million. Okay. Does everyone see that example? Right? So in terms of Islamic law, what is the issue? This transaction between me and Ijaz. Does everyone see that? So the amount I took 20 from him, I paid back 25. This is riba. Okay. Anyone? Any question on this? Yes, I'm simplifying things. There's a collateral. There's other things involved. I'm just simplifying it. Okay. Is that clear, you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Now, inshallah, let's look at things from the Islamic perspective. So from the Islamic perspective, Brother Ijaz will not be involved in the first place. Okay, so Brother Muhammad, please take the house. So what's going to happen? I want to purchase the home. So I go to Brother Muhammad. Brother Muhammad will purchase the home first from Ijaz. Does anyone see that? Right, so I'm not involved in that. So for example, if you want, you just hand the 20 million to Brother Ijaz. Okay, so now Brother Ijaz, yeah, so it could be for anyone. So first, the requirement, Brother Muhammad first has to purchase the home. He is now the owner of the home. Does anyone see the difference? He is now the owner of the home. Now he tells me, Mufti Sahab, The current market value of the home is 20 million. If you have 20 million, I'll sell it to you for 20 million. I said, Brother Muhammad, I'm sorry, I don't have cash. He says, okay, I will sell you this home on an installment sale, as I mentioned earlier. Murabah. And you can pay me back also in 30 years. My credit price is 25 million. Does anyone see that? So I go, yes, Brother Muhammad, I agree to your terms. I would like to buy the home for you. So hand it over. I take the home. Of course, now I'm going to work for the next 30 years. And finally, I'm going to pay back 25 million. So the work part is not included here, guys. Ya Allah. May Allah make it easy for all our men who are working hard, inshallah, and supporting our families. Okay. So does everyone see these two examples? What was the end result, you guys? Did I get my home? Alhamdulillah, I got my home. But was there a difference in the transaction? In the second transaction, the installment sale, can you see a loan anywhere? So, and can you say that there's riba anywhere, interest? No. Right? Because in order for there to be interest, you need to have a loan. So Brother Muhammad has the full right. The difference is this is asset-backed. When he is offering me terms, that's not for a loan, that's for an asset. I'm buying a real thing from him. And he has the right in Islamic law to offer me a cash price and to offer me a credit price. Right? But the other situation, there's a cash price and credit price for money. So let me see the dollars again. So when Brother Ijaz was lending me money, he was saying, I will sell you $20 right now for $25 in 30 years. Right? There was an unequal amount of dollars. But when Brother Muhammad is selling me the house, right? The different prices are for the asset. It's not for money. The different prices are for the actual house or a good or an item. Yes, my brother.
Isn't in both cases the asset owned, in this case, by Brother does for at the bank, right? They hold the deed until it's paid off.
They do, brother. But there's a difference. So to be fair, brother, so now keep in mind, the actual model is going to, in real life, is going to be more complicated. So I acknowledge that, you guys. And I'm just giving you very simplified answers. So to be fair, what many of these companies are doing, from a legal point of view, when you sign the contract and make the agreement, you are considered the owner of the house. And what they do is they keep the deed as collateral or as a pledge. And what they say, for all practical purposes, you are the owner of the house. The day you sign the agreement with Brother Muhammad, I'm the owner of the house. Yes. When do I get the formal deed? When I make the final payment. That's what they say. And they're saying we're keeping it. We're not saying you're not the owner of the house. For our own security, we're going to keep that deed right to the end. So the deed does not determine if you own the house or not. Right? From the legal paperwork, when are you considered the owner? Are you now considered responsible for it? Et cetera, et cetera. That's a separate process. Yes, brother.
He raised the price from 20 to 25 million. In Islamic terms, is there any limitation? How much?
No, that's arbitrary. Whatever the two parties agree on, that's up to them. That amount, it could be 1 million, it could be 5 million, it could be 20 million. He can charge a profit. He can say 20 million cash, 40 million credits. Yes, I have the right to say I don't want to do it. Right? I have the free choice. If I think it's too much, then look for other options. So the main thing is, as long as the transaction is done in a halal way, the two parties, the pricing is a separate issue. Right? The pricing has nothing to do with the transaction being halal or haram. Right? So as long as the fundamental structure of the transaction is done in accordance with Islamic law, right, then the amount, the price and the profit, that's arbitrary. I want to clarify one more point as well. This is where sometimes we get confused with the wording. Right? In Islamic law, when Brother Muhammad is charging me $5 million, yes, in American terms and secular conventional financial terms, this 5 million will be classified as interest. In Islamic law, it will be considered profit. Just because the paperwork says interest does not make it interest purchase. Don't get fooled by these terms. Right? So the terms do not determine, just because a contract or a person uses the word interest does not make it interest. And keep in mind, our tax system, when it comes to recording these type of agreements, the tax system only recognizes conventional mortgages. There's no other way to record. Yes, brother.
For example, if brother Muhammad sent to brother Ada,
Okay.
so in that case, how, because he already sold, he promised that he is the owner, but what is happening in a traditional real life, UIF is going to be sold the loan to finance.
Okay. So, brother, to be fair, so again, my brother, there's going to be some advanced issues. Now, my goal here is to explain the basics, right? I know we could do a follow-up discussion as well. There are some less than ideal issues with the current home financing, Islamic home finance models in America. I'm not here to tell you they're perfect, right? And there's a lot of things going on in the back end. There's a lot of extra issues. For the time being, let's focus on the actual models, inshallah, if you don't mind, right? And I'm not saying we're not going to answer those issues, but one step at a time, if you guys don't mind. One step at a time. The advanced issues we can discuss separately. Yes, but yes, but
suppose the conventional interest rate increases, then why the Islamic banking increases their rate also?
so they shouldn't be doing so.
Pardon?
So good point. So I'm sorry, but yeah. So the requirement in Islamic law is as follows: at the time of the transaction, the exact amount that you're going to be paying has to be fixed right now. It cannot be a floating rate. Right? It has to be agreed upon. Yes, there's a little bit more detail to that, but that's a general principle. There's a little bit more detail. I'll leave that for some advanced discussions. So, meaning,
No, what I'm saying,
yeah,
when the interest rate, suppose today's interest rate is 4%, tomorrow is 5%, why the Islamic banking will charge? They want to make more profit.
no, but so the issue is you
should not charge, right? You should be.
So the issue is this, brother, that at the time you make the agreement, right? The in Islamic law, it's required that you know exactly how much you're going to pay, and you know exactly what you're going to get. So the issue is, as far as I know, most of the home financing companies do this. You have a clear disclosure. You know exactly how much you're going to pay. Your payments, you have a payment schedule. It is laid out. You know exactly how much you're going to pay. Yeah.
Conventional loan also it is like, you know,
Yes, brother.
in the conventional loan also, you have all the people.
True.
It's not going to change.
True, but brother, the issue is look at the procedure. The conventional loan has there's a loan there, right? So that's whether the two look exactly the same. There's a buying and selling transaction here, and with the conventional loan, there's a loan that's involved. That's the issue. There's a loan that's involved. That's what makes it riba interest. Yes, brother.
So I understand most of the contracts are meant towards protecting the adverse event.
Yes.
Maybe that's the intent of it as well. Okay, so that's a pure trade for my extended learning and knowledge. How this current Sharia contract pivot towards addressing the adversity when I, as a borrower or a co-owner, will not be able to fulfill that commitment to 30 years. So like, for example, after 5 years, I got through the hardship. Yeah. So do I need to give this asset back to the owner?
Yeah.
Or in general?
True.
Not
So again, brother. So my point, right? The scope of this discussion. If we had 2 hours, not 2.5 hours, we'd go through everything. Right. So right now, the scope of the discussion is we're going to keep things as basic as possible. Right. Yes, brother. So, and I can't speak. My role here is a religious advisor. Right. I'm not here selling your product. I'm not here to sell your product. I will not sell your product. So my point, yes, brother. The people to answer this question would be the individuals running those companies. And as far as I know, they try to work with you. Right. So they will try to work out some alternative ways for you to pay back. They will try to kind of give you some leeway or give you some scope. And I would hope as Muslims, that's what we should do. Yes, but
what about late payment?
Yeah. So late payment, again, these are advanced issues. Some home finance companies require you to give to charity. So what they say, if you make late payments, we will not take that money. But we will require you give it to Islamic Relief, give it to a Muslim organization. And we've been encouraging them to do the same thing. Okay. Yes, but
So does it matter if the person who's giving you the
on the other side of the agreement, where he gets that money from, like in terms of,
Yes.
or any financing company.
So that's one of the most common issues, guys. Right? Where do these Islamic finance companies get their money from? Right? And is the source of the money is a halal? So I will say this, my brothers. I'm not here to tell you these home finance companies are perfect. But keep in mind the role of a mufti, the role of the ulama in this country. Our role is to identify that which is halal. Now, brothers, go to all the restaurants in the DMW area. How many of them have healthy food? How many of them have food that's going to cause diabetes, heart disease, etc., etc.? Now, are the muftis going to go and are they required to tell you this food is only the healthy food, the rest you can't eat? Right? So there's a difference. So my point is, there's a basic level of halal. As long as the animal is slaughtered in the correct way, right? You ask any mufti if that nihari is halal, he'll say it's halal. If you ask the mufti if it's healthy, the mufti will say that's not mine, that's beyond my scope. My job is to identify that which meets the halal requirements. So I will say the same thing with Islamic finance. There's a similar parallel. These models are not perfect. I'm not going to claim that they're perfect. I'm not going to justify, right? Yes, Muslims should be getting all their money from halal sources. These companies are not doing that. But at the same time, the role of the scholars is providing halal options for the community that meet the basic requirements.
For us, it's halal, right? It doesn't matter where they get the money.
Yes. So it does. So as I said, brother, the Mufti will say, as long as the agreement between the focus of the agreement is between me and Brother Muhammad, right? Is that structured correctly? Right? Does Brother Muhammad first own the property? Right? Is that structured correctly? Whatever's going on in the back end, is Freddie Mac and Freddie Mae getting involved? Where is the company getting the money from? The Mufti is going to focus on this transaction. They're going to analyze that. And they're not going to tell you the rest is perfect. They're going to tell you our role was to tell you if the transaction between me and Brother Muhammad, when I purchased that home, was that done correct? But the same thing, look, when you and I sell cars or homes, where are those people getting that money from? How many of them have cash? How many of them are going to the bank? Right? So my point is, from an ideal world, yes. From an ideal perspective, we would hope that everyone's getting the money from halal sources. Yes,
Just the one quick question.
yes, but
When we sign a contract with any Islamic finance, right?
Yes.
So a few months we pay to that company, and then we get a mail that okay, we have transferred your loan to XYZ company,
Yes.
which is not an Islamic bank.
Yes.
So now we are paying it to that company.
True.
So is that
but we have to understand things properly as well. It depends on which company we're talking about, and I don't want to go into specifics. But in some cases, so I will say this, in some cases, U.S. Bank is just a collector. So all they're doing, they're collecting the money on behalf of whoever it is. Here it's guidance, but okay. So I'm trying to avoid names, but so that's one issue. The other is when they actually sell the loan to someone else. So you have to clear. There are two different scenarios. Someone collecting money from someone else's behalf is a non-issue. Yes. Them selling the loan over to someone else and now you paying back someone else, that also happens. Both things are happening. Yes, but so brothers, if you guys don't mind, so time is limited. I want to do the diminishing partnership with them because what's happening today, murabaha used to be very common. Today, I would say about 95% of the home financing loans in America are diminishing partnership. Right? So murabaha is a little bit easier to understand. Diminishing partnership is a little more complicated. So if you guys will give me 5 uninterrupted minutes, inshallah. And if you guys don't mind, inshallah, we're going to try to wrap things up by 6:35. We have to drive to Laurel, inshallah, for Isha, inshallah. So inshallah, if I can't answer the question, inshallah, hopefully, inshallah, I'll leave my number, inshallah, and we will follow. As I said, it's not I'm running away from your questions. It's just time is limited, inshallah. Okay. So let's look at the diminishing partnership. So in your mind, look at that first model of the conventional loan that I showed earlier with Brother Ijaz and Brother Muhammad. So here, Brother Muhammad, again, what's going to happen? Brother Muhammad first purchases the home. Okay, so this is the requirement. He is the legal owner of the home. Now, I approach him and I say, this is the home that I'd like to purchase. I would like to own this home over time. I don't have the cash. Okay. So, but then Muhammad will tell me this. It's a little bit more complicated. There's two separate transactions involved here. One is rental, and one is buyback. Okay, and one is also the down payment. So it's a little bit more complicated. To be fair, in the first example I gave you guys of Murabaha, there would have been a down payment there as well. I left it out to make things simple, right? So most of the time, there's always a down payment. So, but the Muhammad will tell me, Mufti Sahib, let's be co-owners. I like you, let's be co-owners. So in the beginning, Brother Muhammad is 100% owner of the house. And normally what will happen, Brother Muhammad will say, why don't you put in, for example, put in a $5 million down payment, and now you're going to be a joint owner of the home. Here, so let's take the ratio here, if you guys don't mind. Let's say the home costs 25 million. Okay, so Brother Muhammad has purchased the home. In the beginning, he's 100% owner of the home. Okay, so there's going to be a down payment involved. So now I pay him 5 million, and now I become 1/5 or 20% owner of the home. Is that clear, you guys? Out of 25 million. The total value of the home is 25 million for simplicity purposes. So now the ratio is 80 and 20. Okay, 80 and 20. So Brother Muhammad will tell me, Mufti Sahib, you're going to be buying back this home, and every month you'll be buying 1%. And to make it simple, 1% will be, we're talking about 25 million. So 2.5, what's 1% of 2.5, 25 million? Yeah, 25,000. Okay, so each month I'm going to be making a payment. There's going to be two payments, but in reality they're added up. So I'm going to be making a buyback payment of 1%, and in the beginning, Brother Muhammad owns 80% of the home, and I own 20%. So I need to pay rent for the 80%. Right? So there's going to be a method to calculate this, but in the beginning, my rent's going to be very high, and I'm going to be buying back a smaller percentage. Over time, next month, I am now 21% owner of the home. So over time, my share is going to go up. And over time, my rent will also go down. But there's a clear payment schedule. So the brothers have the concern about the floating interest rate fluctuating. With the diminishing partnership model, it will not. Right? They will be agreed upon. And you have a payment schedule. You'll know exactly over 25 years, 30 years, how much is my rent payment every month? How much is my buyback payment every month? And what's the goal in the end, you guys? In the end, I will pay the entire 25 million plus the rent payment, right? And perhaps Brother Muhammad will make $30 million, right? And in the end, I'll get the home. Does everyone see this, you guys? It's a little bit more complicated because there's 3 separate transactions involved, right? So there's a down payment, number one. Each month, there's the buyback, which could be 1%, could be 0.5%, whatever it is. And there's also the rent payment. And the rent payment will be calculated based on ownership. Is that clear, you guys? So is this very clear that this, we call a diminishing partnership, number one. So does everyone understand how that works? In the beginning, he's 80% owner. In the beginning, he's 100% owner. But with my down payment, he's 80% owner. Then over time, his partnership will diminish, my partnership will increase, and eventually I will own the home, which will be the end goal. But can everyone see there's a major difference between this and a conventional loan where I borrow money from Brother Ijaz? Is there any loan involved in this diminishing partnership, you guys? No. Is there anything that even resembles a loan here? No. Is that clear, you guys?
Why am I paying the taxes?
But so you're not 100% owner. Even from a legal point of view and Islamic point of view, you're not the full owner. You're a partial owner.
I think it's more complicated.
So, but remember, my point here. So I'm not claiming to explain the full model of guidance or UF or anyone else. I want the basic understanding, guys. Right? So yes, so I fully agree with everyone here The actual model is much more complicated. But at a basic level, we want people to understand the difference.
Not only complicated, but we are also burdening the person. Not only paying the division, whatever monthly you pay.
So, but sorry, I can't hear you, brother. Yes, brother?
That's burdening the person who is trying to buy. More burden.
Yes.
So, brother, look, my point is this. No one's going to sell you the house. If you want to buy the house over time, you're going to have to pay back more, right? And look, brother, we go to the store. Why is there a difference between the price of halal meat and Kroger or Giant? We're paying more. Yeah, we're paying more. Why? Why are we paying more? Because a Muslim took out the time to slaughter the meat, and he did it for us. But there's a lot more paperwork than the Islamic home financing. There's a lot more paperwork. It costs more, right? I talk to a real estate agent, talk to people involved, right? Look at the thick packet that's involved with the Islamic home financing. The current system in America is, but there's a difference, brother. There's a difference because the extra steps. Brother, there's extra steps involved. That here, brother Muhammad has to first own the home. There's costs involved. There's extra procedure involved. There's closing costs, brother. There's the escrow. There's extra costs, brother. So there's gonna
Closing costs, I need to pay.
So, brother,
He's
look.
not going to get paid.
Brother, I'm not. Keep in mind here, brothers. My objective here. I'm your friend. My goal. So, brother, let's make this very clear. Brother, let's make this very clear. I'm not forcing you to go and buy your home through Islamic financing. That's not my goal. If you don't want to do so, this is a free country, right? So let's respect that. If you guys don't like this, if you're not comfortable with this, your taqwa tells you don't want to do it, then don't do it, right? Argue with me. If you don't agree with it, every person to your own. My goal is simply to explain them all to you, right? And if you're happy with it, alhamdulillah. If you're not happy with it, I'm not here to force it.
That's what the ulama said, that the
Sorry, my
model is
question
perfect,
is,
but the
is there any,
Okay.
is there any provision in the Islamic law for the primary residence? That if you want to buy a house
Yeah.
for primary residence, you're still violating like the riba?
Yeah. So the issue here, brothers, the verses of the Quran are very clear. Whether you're in a Muslim country, whether you're not a Muslim country, right? The verses of riba are very clear. And I've heard many people have quoted this. I've never seen reference for it. The first home in America is halal, and any homes after that are haram. If you buy the first home in interest, it's halal. I've never seen any reference for that. I don't know who came up with this fatwa. People say Dewan, people say this. I've never seen it. I encourage anyone to bring that fatwa to me and show it to me. I don't know where it came from. Mubala fatwa hai. Yeah, I don't know where it came from.
Abu Hanifa, from a Sheikh Abu Hanifa.
But that's a separate discussion on riba and al-harb. No, that's a different discussion, brother. That's an entirely different discussion. So the issue is this: if you take the fatwa, if there's no riba in America, then why is the second house around? That's not very consistent, brother. If you take the fatwa, take it all the way. All homes, buy 10 homes then on riba. Right? Be consistent here. If you're going to follow these fatwas, you're welcome to. I'm not forcing anyone to follow any fatwa. Yes, brother. So inshallah, I'm about to be. Inshallah, I'm about to be getting in. Yes, no problem. Inshallah.
That's what the ulama say, the model.
No, I take the house.
So, but brother, I will say there's a lot more tafsir. So, brother, riba and dar harb, right? We can have another hour discussion on riba and dar harb. If America's dar harb, why do I have a passport to stay here forever? That goes right against dar harb. Dar harb means you can only visit there and stay temporarily. What are we doing with passports here in America? If America's dar harb, why do we have a permanent masjid where we can sit and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
More
Right.
peaceful than outside countries.
So this whole argument of riba for dar harb, right? We can have a long, detailed discussion on it. Yeah.
Selling house to pay is.
Yeah. So I will say this, brother. I'm a small fry. With all respect, I'm just a small time scholar. Mufti Usmani is on the board of guidance. Okay, he set up that model from scratch. It took him 2 years. I sat and talked to him about the guidance model. The same concerns you guys have. I met with Mufti Usmani in Madinah Munawwara, and I talked to him about this. No, even to this day, he's still on the board. He never left the board. He's still on the board. I met him maybe about 7 years ago in Madinah. So the issue is this, but no, he never said that, brother. Brother, do not put words in his mouth, brother. Please. As of now, I can guarantee. I talked to Mufti Usmani myself. He is still on the board of guidance. What he told me is, if any of you have any concerns with guidance, come to me and I'll answer. His name is still on the website. you contact him directly. Send a person to Pakistan and contact him directly. I can guarantee, I can guarantee he will tell you, I still approve of guidance. Okay? So let me go back. When it comes to Freddie Mac and Freddie Mae, Mufti al-Qismani knows that guidance will involve Freddie Mac and Freddie Mae. He is aware of this. He set up the model. He is the greatest Islamic finance scholar in the world. He approves of guidance. Right? At this point, I will put my opinion aside. I trust Mufti al-Qismani. If you don't want to follow him, no problem. I'm not forcing anyone to follow him.
Somebody asked if the model is not problem, the implementation is the problem.
But the guidance, Mufti al-Qismani knows about the whole process of guidance from A to Z. He set up the model. He set up the model.
Somebody asked him this question and I follow him too. He said, yes, we know they sell it to the Freddie Mac. He said, when you go to a grocery store in America, in La Cat or whatever, there is pork also, there is alcohol also, and there is milk and bread also.
Yes, sir.
So just because it has got pork and alcohol, you don't stop going to the grocery store. You buy your things which you need, and you come back home. That is what he answered. But there is much technicalities involved.
Yes. So as I said, brothers, there's a lot more details. There's a lot of advanced issues as well. But at the end of the day, look. So the issue is this, brothers. So we have a beautiful system in Islam, right? It's called referring to the people of knowledge. And the beauty of it is as follows, right? This is really where all the responsibility falls on me, not on you. Man uftiya bi khayri ilmin, fakana ismuhu ala man aftah. Right? So this is how it works. If there's any problem with guidance, you buy your home through guidance, and if there's any problems on the day of judgment, you will be free. Nothing will happen to you. Mufti al-Qismani, they'll go after Mufti al-Qismani. If there's a problem with UIF, like if I recommend to you to buy a home through UIF, and there's a problem, again, it's on me. I'm taking that responsibility, right? It's a very serious responsibility, but I'm willing to take that responsibility. Now, as I said, if you don't agree, if you're taqwa, you want to rent a home, if you don't agree, you want to buy a home in cash, it's a free country, my brothers. It's a free country. Yes, but yeah, so it's called diminishing partnership, or it's called shirkat al-mutanaqisa. It's the same thing. So they call it shirkat al-mutanaqisa or shirkat musharaka are the same. They're the same. Yeah. Yes, brother. So the last few questions, inshallah, and we'll head up.
I asked Mufti Darwani Khan Sahab and they were totally against it.
So as I said, brother, that's true. So there are different muftis out there. And inshallah, you're welcome to follow them. At the same time, Mufti al-Qismani is expert in Islamic finance. Mufti Zarghuli is not, with all due respect. Right? There's experts in every field. Mufti al-Qismani has dedicated his life to Islamic finance. He's written books. He has given lectures. That's his field. My field is Islamic finance. As I said, Mufti al-Qismani is well aware of the implementation. Right? He set up these models. Yeah. Okay. So, brothers, if you don't mind, inshallah. So, our objective it was just at a basic level to understand these models. The advanced issues, inshallah, you can do further research. You can talk to these the representatives of these companies. You can do your own research. You can ask me afterwards as well. Alhamdulillah, it was very interesting to see the benefits of these programs. So, alhamdulillah, I can say over the last 10 years, 250 people have bought their homes on my recommendation. Alhamdulillah. So just to see this process, this is grassroots education, right? So inshallah, grassroots education, we learn about our religion, and we learn about the different options which are out there. And as I said, every person can make the decision for themselves, right? Istafti qalbak. Ask your heart. Inshallah, you make the decision. So Murabaha is offered by UIF. UIF currently offers 3 models. Murabaha, the installment sale, diminishing partnership, and Ijara.
Which one do you think is best?
So it's your preference, but in my opinion, both are halal. It's your preference which of the 2 models you're more comfortable with. Mufti al-Qismani is endorsed the diminishing partnership. Yeah. So Ijara, my brother. So you guys, as I'm about to leave, for follow-up reading, Introduction to Islamic Finance by Mufti al-Qismani, all 3 models will be there. Diminishing partnership, Murabaha, and Ijara. Ijara, the model is simply lease to own. Lease to own. But the main challenge there, you don't have any equity. Right? So what happens, my brother? You're gonna brother, yeah. So the Ijara model, it's lease to own. So it means every month you'll be paying a rental amount. In the end, once you make all the rental payments, they'll sell you the home for $1. But if you stop paying in between, you're at zero. Yeah. But it's rent to own. So in the end, you have the choice of buying the home outright. Okay, yes. So sorry. So lease. No, sorry. I thought you meant car renting. Lease own. Yes.
Same option.
Yes. So ijara means your monthly payment. You're not buying back the home. You're renting the home.
You're not owner.
Yeah, you're renting the home.
You're not co-owner.
Yeah, there's no co-owner, and you're also not the owner from the beginning. You only become the owner if you make all the rent payments, and in the end you make the $1 rent. And in between something happens, SOL. If something happens, you're out of luck.
लीज के बारे में मतलब यही कहा तो मैं कहा था it doesn't matter पीछे वो क्या कर रहे हैं लीज पे there's no mention of interest.
Yes, there is.
उन्होंने कहा कि ज्यादा उसमें ना पड़े.
Yeah.